Hello everyone, this video is to walk faculty through the changes that we have made to our Elevate Career Development Academy course through ATU Career Services. So you'll see that we have changed the name from Career Advancement to Career Development Academy. We decided to make a sequel to Elevate called Elite, which will become the Career Advancement Academy. We are currently working on this course and hope to have it out by spring 2022. Once I have the assignments made and everything ready, I'll be asking for your feedback on these so that they can be the best assignments for your students. So where Elevate is kind of the basics of careers, we kind of want to go a little bit further with Elite. So that's the first change. Then once you get into Elevate, I'm going to put it in student preview mode so that you can see what it looks like to the students. I have added a disclaimer quiz that they have to complete before any other assignments will show. So if they go to any of our milestones, it'll say not seeing any assignments. And this just means to be a reminder that they have to take that disclaimer first, and it gives them an example. I forgot to hide this one, so I'll make that change momentarily, but everything should be hidden from them. I need to change this one too, it's a recent add. But they will only see these as a reminder. Once they go to information and take the disclaimer quiz, everything else will show up. So this disclaimer is just stating that they are responsible for their assignments. I've had quite a few students get upset that they haven't received feedback in a timely manner, but it's because 30 to 40 students have waited until the last minute to request a cover letter or resume critique, which take time. So trying to save myself some headaches and help these students understand that it's going to take a minute, I wrote the disclaimer. You're welcome to read it. I won't read it to you. But it's basically just saying that you're responsible for getting your stuff turned in prior to the professor's due date if you need feedback. So for example, if they have a resume and cover letter critique they need done, they need to turn it in to where I have 15 to 30 minutes to try to get that critiqued and sent back to them, because they do have to correct those documents before they can upload to Elevate for credit. So it's not something that can be done in a day. We say that we'll give them feedback within a week, depending upon volume. So again, if it's near the end of the semester and your due date is just the end of the semester, they need to be setting their own due dates so that they can get these done on time. And that's even in here. So create due dates weekly so that you have adequate time to receive feedback prior to the course deadline. And then it says that they're responsible and that they can contact us if they have any questions. So I'll go ahead and say yes to open up those other assignments. Question 2 is just again reiterating that you're responsible for turning your stuff in a timely manner. Question 3 is that your feedback takes time and that you need to have your own milestones if your professor signed the due date for the end of the semester, which is fine. Then the last question is just that, again, it may take time to get feedback returned to you and to contact us if you have any questions. So once they save and submit that, all of the other assignments will open. So now everything is available to them in all of the milestones. Some of the recent changes from last time is we have included core competencies for each milestone, and these are related to the NACE core competencies. We have made our own core competencies flyer, and it shows 9. So we've combined a few, we've made one of our own, but these are the competencies that we're talking about in the Blackboard classroom, and that's on every milestone that this is attached. And then it outlines which ones they're meeting by completing these assignments. We have also included the return on investment. So it basically tells the students why they should do these assignments and then what they'll gain from that experience. We also have video walkthroughs for certain things like the Focus 2. I have tried to make the instructions clearer. For self-assessment, they used to be able to choose which 2 they wanted to take. we are now requiring them to take the Focus 2 plus one other self-assessment. Since we pay for the Focus 2, we feel like it's one of the best resources and we want to get our money's worth. So we really are trying to strive for students to use this one, and we continue to use it throughout other assignments as well. So they're still reflecting upon their answers for 1B. And then we have also included recommended experiences and additional resources for each milestone. So recommended experiences are just things that they could do to further what they've learned in this milestone. So for the self-assessments, they can meet with the career counselor to discuss Focus 2 results. They are encouraged to join a registered student organization to get involved on campus. And they're encouraged to set up their Handshake or LinkedIn profiles. And there's just a disclaimer at the bottom that they are not required to finish Elevate. It's just here if they choose to do these things. Same with additional resources. It's a folder. I give a synopsis of what's included in the folder, as well as another disclaimer that it's just as a resource to use for their professional benefit. It is not required for Elevate. So they don't have to do anything with these if they don't want to. It's just there to help them if they like. So if they click on that folder, you will see all of those additional resources in the same order as what the previous page had showed. I've done that for each milestone. So career action plan, core competencies, return on investment, the activities. In milestone 2, I have added an additional assignment. So now they do the career research activity, which they did previously, and they research the 3 specific careers. The one change I did made was having them include their RACIT code for that occupation. So ONET will tell you the code that matches that occupation, and they can kind of compare that with what their Focus 2 results was. So for example, my code is SEA, and a career counselor is an S. So I know that's a good match for me because S is my strongest quality as well. So that's just kind of help them see how it relates to the Focus 2 that they took previously. The new assignment is this job search. I have them take the 3 careers that they chose in 2A and then find posts for that within Handshake. So Handshake has a job board, and they are going to search for those 3 positions and compare what Handshake says to what ONET said. So they're going to see how similar those are and if it differs in any way, and just answer a couple of questions about the differences if they found any. I did remind them that there are different titles for the same type of positions. So these are some of the different titles that I could go by, and it's just to remind them that it's not always going to be the same name, but it can be the same job. Then finally, the career action plan is still in this milestone, and they'll use that a couple of times. Again, we have recommended experiences and additional resources. Milestone 3, same thing. You've got core competencies, return on investment, improved instructions. Hopefully, I've tried to make them as clear as possible. A turn-in spot for their resume, the cover letter critique, and a turn-in spot for their cover letter. And then again, recommended experiences and additional resources. For practice interviews, I think you're catching on, is the same thing. I did give them a couple more options, so they can choose to do big interview, which is what we prefer. But I've had a few requests to do virtual or in-person mock interviews, and now that we're trying to get back on campus, I think this is still a good option to include. I don't feel like a lot of students will take us up on this option, but I wanted them to have it. So if they want to do virtual or in-person, they will need to request a Handshake appointment, and I give them the instructions for that. I also tell them that they can choose 2 different interview types. So, for example, if they wanted to do their first mock interview through Big Interview, and then they decide that they would rather do an in-person interview, they can do one of each. They don't have to be the same. There's Big Interview instructions to help them navigate that website. And then there's a turn-in spot for the links to their videos with instructions of how to share that link to this turn-in spot. So they do have 2 practice interviews. I would like them to wait for feedback before completing the next set of interview questions. That way, if they didn't do very well, they can improve their answers with our suggestions, or if they did really well, they can attempt a different set of questions to continue to challenge themselves. There is still the practice interview reflection. So just thinking back on their interview experience and what they might change. And then again, our recommended experiences and additional resources. For networking, you've got the same thing. They have the job search tracking log, so they have to go to 2 networking events, so it can be through your department or our career fairs. Or they have a remote option to conduct outreach to people in their field by sending emails, so the kind of cold call option if they don't feel like they can attend career fairs. We do have virtual and in person this semester, so that shouldn't be an issue. There's plenty of them, but I've had a lot of complaints that this is hard to do if you're a senior and working on other things like internships. So they still will have that remote option. Then we have networking follow-up, sending 3 professional emails to the employers they contacted in 5A. A networking reflection, which I have changed to include an elevator pitch. So for those career fairs, they should be able to introduce themselves pretty quickly and have a 30-second pitch. So there's an article to help them with that. It's just one of the questions on the whole thing. And then they're revamping their career action plan again by thinking about what they've learned in these previous assignments and how that's changed maybe their goals that they had originally stated in assignment 2C. Then again, we have recommended experiences and additional resources. The final milestone is experiential learning. So we have the same resources you've seen on each of these. Our experiential learning opportunities are the same. I have added a new one that is the Road Trip Nation assignment, and that is in a folder down here. So Road Trip Nation has created a course where students can plan to do an informational interview with an employer, and it will walk them through that. So I think that's a good way to do it sort of online and still get a lot of helpful information from someone who's in the field they'd like to go into. 6B is reflecting upon this experience. 6C is revamping their career action plan again to make a new career goal. Then we have the recommended experiences and additional resources. So I feel like we've made a lot of good changes. I would love to hear your feedback, and if there's some return on investment that you'd like me to include, or if you have an idea for recommended experiences or additional resources, I would love to have your feedback on that. I did forget to mention under information, we now have an Elevate syllabus. And the syllabus just gives an overview of the class, each of the assignments and milestones, as well as the benefits included in each milestone, and approximate time required for each assignment. So I have gone through and said how long each assignment might take them, and then that will kind of help them see what they need to be spending their time on and how they can budget their time to get this done for your deadlines. I also have suggested timelines. So some of you will just assign this for a semester, and they need to be doing 1 to 2 assignments a week, whether you give them the end of the semester or if you set the deadlines, they'll need to try to keep that pace to get it done. Then if they're doing this on their own or want to continue even after your course is over, they have an academic year, or they can do up to 10 semesters at their own pace, and this is if they're self-enrolled. So say they only get half of it done for your class, they can still complete the other 3 as long as it's before they graduate. So it just says once you graduate, you no longer have access to Blackboard, and if you don't have access to Blackboard, you're going to lose your access to Elevate as well. So this is the update. I hope that it will be helpful to you and to your students. We really appreciate you including Elevate in your courses. Please let me know if there's anything I can do to make Elevate better, or if you have any suggestions for those additional resources. Thank you so much.